oppressor, and we will speak to the consequences shortly.
Upande huu ni eneo tu ambalo ama ni njia tu ya magari kurejea katikati mwa jiji la Nairobi, na tunazidi tu kufuatilia hali ilivyo. Dakika chache zilizopita bado maafisa wa polisi walikuwa wanafiatua risasi hewani pamoja na vitoa machozi ili kuwatawanya wale vijana. Tumeona magari ya uchukuzi ambayo yanakuja maeneo haya ya Kangemi kuelekea Kikuyu yamelazimika kuwashusha abiria katika makao makuu ya kituo ama taasisi za Communications Authority, na basi wale abiria wanalazimika kutembea kiguna njia, bado vitoa machozi vinalipuliwa hewani. Wale wa abiria wanahitajika kutembea tu hadi maeneo ya Kangemi na kule ambapo wanaendelea. Maafisa wa polisi kwa sasa wamekabiliana na vijana wale. Barabara bado inaendelea kufunguliwa, na ndio sababu unaona magari yanakuja moja moja, lakini hali bado ni ya mshike. Bado kuna wale ambao wameshtuka, kuna wale ambao wanahisi bado kuna tashwishi, lakini tunazidi tu kuwasikiza. Nick,
asante sana Brian Mushiri, zidi kuwa macho yetu. Mtu mmoja amethibitishwa kufariki dunia kaunti ya Migori kwenye maandamano dhidi ya serikali ya Kenya Kwanza yaliyoingia siku ya 8 hii leo. Na hapa jijini Nairobi ni kwamba wafanyabiashara wenye hamaki walijihami kwa mipini na majembe na rungu kuzingira biashara zao dhidi ya makundi ya vijana yalionekana kuwa na nia ya kuendeleza uharibifu.
Waliweka juhudi za kuwatawanya. Kilichokuwa kikilengwa mno na makundi hayo ya vijana kikiwa ni mali ya bwerere. Japo miongoni mwao ungewapata wanaomtaka Rais William Ruto kuondoka afisini, ilikuwa wazi kuwa ni mbinu tu ya kujihusisha na waandamanaji wa kweli, ila nia ilikuwa tofauti kabisa. Lakini wenye biashara hizo pia walikuwa wamejihami sihaba, wakibeba marungu na mipini ya majembe.
Maandamano ilisha. Wenye wameingia town leo si waandamanaji. Ile kazi wanafanya ni looting. Gen Z, ukiingia town yote hakuna Gen Z. So tumesema lazima tulinde biashara zetu. Tuliibiwa last Tuesday, tukaibiwa last Thursday, tukasema leo lazima tukuje tulinde biashara zetu. Mimi nimeandikwa. Nikipoteza kazi watoto wangu, familia yangu watakula wapi? Hakuna. Hawana agenda. Agenda yao ni muondoke, mpigwe na mawe, muondoke, waingize maduka zote. Ujia na mwanabai mpaka anakuja na bag. Ni muondoke, wapore, hiyo ndio agenda yenyewe wako nayo.
Mara kwa mara palishuhudiwa makabiliano, washukiwa wawizi wakitandikwa vita vikali. Kwenye suitofahamu hiyo, watu kadhaa walijeruhiwa, wengine kwa risasi. Jamaa huyu alipigwa risasi kwenye barabara ya Tom Mboya na kukimbizwa kwa watoaji wa huduma ya kwanza. Kwenye mojawapo ya maduka yaliyokuwa yamezingirwa na makundi ya vijana, ushahidi wa risasi kufyatuliwa ulikuwepo. Tukio hili likitarajiwa kuleta joto, haswa ikizingatiwa ni juzi tu mahakama ilitoa mwelekeo kuwa polisi wasitumie risasi, vitoza machozi au nguvu katika maandamano dhidi ya mswada wa fedha wa mwaka 2024. Je, watajitetea na matukio kadhaa ya uhalifu tofauti na utakavyo mrengo wa Azimio?
President must publicly direct his security organs to forthwith seize the ongoing abductions, an exercise that we believe is being undertaken with his full approval.
Yote 9. 10 ni kuwa makali ya maandamano sasa yanapungua, na kinyume na awali wakati waandamanaji walilenga kufika bungeni na katika afisi zingine za serikali, hawa wa sasa wanaonekana kutokuwa na eneo halisi wanakokwenda, bali ni kukabiliana na polisi kiholela na haswa paliko na mabiashara. Ibrahim Karanja, NTV.
Asante sana Ibrahim Karanja. Na mtazamaji, kwa pumzi hiyo ni kwamba Waziri wa Usalama wa Ndani Profesa Kithure Kindiki ametoa taarifa kwa vyombo vya habari, taarifa ambayo imeorodheshwa katika hoja 7. Ningependa kuangazia hoja 4, 5, 6 na 7, yani ambayo inapongeza polisi kwa kazi nzuri ambayo Kindiki anasema wamefanya katika kukabiliana na hawa waandamanaji. 5 inasema kwamba vyombo vya usalama vitasalia ange kwa ajili ya kudumisha amani humu nchini wakati huu wa maandamano na uharibifu wa bidhaa na mali ya umma. 6 inasema kwamba wakati uchunguzi ukikamilika, basi wale wote ambao wanahusika katika kutekeleza unyama huu wa uharibifu wa biashara pamoja na udhamini wa shughuli hii, basi wote wataweza kufunguliwa mashtaka. Kisha hoja 7 inasema hivi kwamba hawa ambao ni waandaaji wa shughuli hii wanapanga kuiandaa tena siku ya Alhamisi na siku ya Jumapili, na hata hivyo ni kwamba vyombo vya usalama vitalishughulikia swala hili na kuhakikisha kwamba Wakenya wanapata amani wakati huu ambapo magenge yanapanga kuhangaisha Wakenya siku hizo za Alhamisi na siku ya Jumapili. Tusonge mbele. Chama cha ODM kimejitokeza kuonesha kuunga mkono kilio cha kizazi kipya almaarufu Gen Z katika maandamano yanayoshuhudiwa nchini. Aidha, ODM imetangaza kuwafuta kazi wabunge wake 6 kutokana na wao kuunga mkono mswada wa fedha wa mwaka 2024 bungeni licha ya kilio cha Wakenya. Hemed Abdalla ana taarifa hiyo.
Chama cha ODM kilicho chini ya mrengo wa upinzani Azimio hii leo kimelaani vikali mapuuza ya serikali ya Rais William Ruto licha ya kile wanachokitaja kuwa ni ishara ya wazi kwamba dau ulazama.
We have the most callous, insensitive and obtuse regime in the history of Kenya. It is no wonder that chants of Ruto must go are ringing out all across our land.
Aidha, katika taarifa hiyo ya uongozi wa juu chamani, ODM inasema Ruto anajitia hamnazo na kinachoendelea, ila hii ni nafasi yake ya mwisho kuliokoa taifa lililoyumbishwa na vijana wa Gen Z kwa majuma 3 sasa.
We consider this to be Kenya's last best chance. The youth have given our country our last best chance. We either seize it and swim with it by implementing all their demands, or we ignore it and sink the country altogether.
ODM imesema ahadi yake ya kutumia ushuru wa Wakenya kuwatumikia Wakenya utaanza na mchakato wa kuwatimua wabunge 6 wa ODM katika maeneo bunge yao. Wabunge ambao walisema ndio kwa mswada tata uliokuwa ukipingwa na Wakenya.
That ODM shall initiate and lead recall processes in the following constituencies in light of the current office holders' repeated violation of their sacred oath and the wishes of their electorate.
Kwa maana hiyo, wabunge Elisha Ocheng sehemu ya Gem, Gideon Ochanda sehemu ya Bongo, Memusi Kanchori Kajiado ya Kati, Bernard Shinali Ikolomani, Emmanuel Wangwe na Vukolo na Karoli Omondi Suba ya Kusini, Chao Kimotoni. Kuongezea, ODM imetangaza kuwaunga mkono kikamilifu wanaotaka kuleta mageuzi ya haki kwa taifa hili. Hemed Abdallah, NTV, Nairobi.
Baada ya taarifa hiyo, mtazamaji, naomba nipate mapumziko mafupi tu. Muda si mrefu itakuwa narudi na mengi zaidi, hasa jinsi mambo yalivyokuwa katika kaunti Mombasa, Nakuru na Uasin Gishu. Usiende mbali.
This show inspired generations with the laughter, the fun and the good times. Brought to you endless talents and changed the lives of many across the country. And now, are you ready for the return of Africa's biggest comedy show? Churchill Show, starting this July on NTV.
Dettol Skincare combines the trusted protection of Dettol with 2 times moisturizers to protect my skin from germs and keeps my skin soft with a beautiful fragrance. Beautiful skin is germ-free skin.
Why are you shouting? I quit. I quit. That is risk. You listen.
Anakuja kazi kitu 9:30 alafu nauliza why you late? Sasa nikose kunywa chai. Nilikuwa natoka nikaona hiyo nguo ikaipoa. I have to buy another one.
Oh, okay. Τώρα του μου έπαιρνε ριζικό μακά. Μου έπαιρνε ριζικό μακά.
Thank you, thank you.
Mike.
We don't have anything, just go.
Are you ready? You ready? Ladies and gentlemen, we have had a meeting of the Central Committee of the ODM party. Central Committee is the organ of the party that deals with managerial issues in the party and also issues of policy. We have had a comprehensive meeting today, and we have a statement which is going to be read to you by the Secretary General, Honorable Edwin Sifuna.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We proceed straight to the statement of the Central Committee meeting of 2nd July 2024. And it is titled, "This is Kenya's Last Best Chance." The Central Committee of the party has this morning held a meeting to deliberate on the ongoing crisis in Kenya. This meeting is happening at a most difficult time for our country, given all that has happened in the last few weeks. We are acutely aware that many families are still in mourning, having lost their loved ones, with civil society groups estimating that over 30 young Kenyans fell to the regime bullets in the course of the street protests. Many of these families are yet to bury these victims. On behalf of the entire ODM party, the Central Committee extends its deepest condolences to all those who have lost their loved ones and pray that God will comfort them in this time of tragedy. We also know that many were injured and some are still in hospital. We wish all of them quick recovery. We are in awe of the Kenyan youth who, through their unity of purpose, have stood with their fallen colleagues and raised vast sums of money in very short times to pay hospital bills for the injured. As a mass movement that has been on this journey of true liberation for a long time, we know how difficult it is to achieve some of the things that we have seen you do. You have absolutely earned our respect as a party, and we salute you. As believers in the right to peaceful protest as enshrined under Article 37, we condemn in the strongest terms possible the abuse of police power in the deployment of violent suppression techniques on innocent and armed protesters. Our position is that no one has to die in exercise of the rights under Article 37. We further condemn the ongoing arbitrary abductions of innocent Kenyans who are carted away in the most violent and inhumane manner and held incommunicado for days. As we speak, the reports are that upwards of 50 individuals have been illegally abducted and their whereabouts remain unknown. To make it worse, it is clear that no one in government is ready to take responsibility, to render an apology, or to make amends. The head of state himself has tried to distance his regime from these killings, injuries, and abductions, instead conjuring up theories when everyone can see the blood on his hands. We have the most callous, insensitive, and obtuse regime in the history of Kenya. It is no wonder that chants of Ruto must go are ringing out all across our land. Government must never abdicate its responsibility to protect life and the property of its citizens. And if it does, as Ruto has done, it deserves to go. As a party that was founded on the tenets of social justice, we shall walk the journey of bringing about justice and accountability for all of the regime's crimes since they took power. We stand with the people in their quest to liberate themselves politically, socially, and economically. Kenyans asked us to stand with them against the punitive tax proposals in the finance bill, and we did. Of the 115 members of the National Assembly who stood with the people and voted against the bill on the floor, 73 were in fact members of ODM. We applaud these great patriots and thank them for being true representatives of the people. As a party, we celebrate you for being on the right side of history, and the party has charged the Honorable Opio and I and the Whip, Junet Mohammed, to convey this message to each individual member who stood with the people of Kenya. Sadly, a few of our members went against the wishes of the people and sided with the oppressor, and we will speak to the consequences shortly. In light of this state of affairs, the meeting has resolved as follows. Number one, that it is time for all of us in the political leadership to begin to listen. Listen to what the people are saying and not to our own voices. The young people have spoken in plain language that should be clear to everyone. Let's not be vague. Let's just do what the young people are telling the government to do. Number two, we consider this to be Kenya's last best chance. The youth have given our country our last best chance. We either seize it and swim with it by implementing all their demands, or we ignore it and sink the country altogether. Number three, that the Kenya Kwanza regime must take full responsibility for all the deaths, injuries, and destruction of property arising from the violent suppression of peaceful protests. The president must publicly direct his security organs to forthwith seize the ongoing abductions, an exercise that we believe is being undertaken with his full approval and the approval of the state. He must account for and order the release of all detainees abducted by these security agencies. Number four, that the Independent Police Oversight Authority must expedite investigations into all these incidents, including allegations of mass murder by police in Githurai and in Rongai. We were shocked to watch the president claim on live television that only one life was lost. It tells you how out of touch with reality he is. Number five, that in our view, what happened on the 25th of June 2024 amounted to a vote of no confidence in the Ruto regime. It is clear that this fact is totally lost on Ruto. It is reflected in his petulant proposals on how we manage our economy following the rejection of his tax bill. Instead of focusing on cutting waste,
we don't do everything because of one thing. Sisi tunafaa kuoa, tupate watoto, and others know that. Right? Yes.
Je, nyinyi kama vijana mlipiga kura 2022?
Tulipiga.
One to one.
Je, mlipiga kura 2022 na je mna regret ambavyo mlipiga kura?
Sasa mimi nahesabu kura yangu kama iko spoiled sahi. Si story. That's my vote is spoiled already. See story. My vote is already spoiled.
Why?
Number one, unajua walitupromise kazi. Mimi ama degree nilimaliza the last 2020, nilimaliza 2022. Right? Kazi sina, I've now nimekaa nje for the last, sina kazi, sina bibi, sina watoto. Na siwezi oa kama najua sina, kwani alisha na nini, alisha na mawe. Uchumi na mawe.
Today I want to address our leaders. Muslim. My name is Evans Kipkurui. I'm a student at RVTI University. RVTI. I want to address my leaders today. As comrades, we are suffering. Yes, we are much suffering, and our problems we are. Let me tell you, our
poverty huko outside, lakini sisi wenyewe kwa nje. Sio kila mtu ananyesha sai, but for the people. Azanini said, punda ime
pengine uniambie wewe 2022 kama Gen Z ulipiga kura ama haukupiga?
Sikuweza kupiga kura.
2027 una mpango gani na kura yako?
Mimi najua hii government ni Gen Z tunaingia next. Walale yao imeisha, wametuweza, wametufunga. Bila baba tena, lakini wasio hivyo.
Ona wewe unaitwa John Nganga. Ujumbe wa Gen Z tunasema aende afanye kitu inaitwa self re-examination. Ajiulize, angalia vida zake za campaign na saa hii. Ajiulize vitu nilipromise wa Kenya na saa hii. Are they in line? Achane nao conmen wenye anatembea nao, wenye wanamdanganya, wanatu overtax, wanatoa pesa wanaweka kwa mfuko yao, wanakuja hapa hivi wanatoa pesa mingi kwa makanisa, then in the night they go back to those churches and take that money. Comrades power. So what we want to tell the president is, as the remedy, the president enye aliambiwa tu campaign na saa hii. Lastly, sisi tunataka kusema Ruto apunguze taxes, period.
Pale mbele kuhakikisha mpiga kura.
Have you ever heard of the phrase saying, we will be there no matter what? We will be there in 2027. Comrades, we will be there. We will be there. Any other question? Thank you.
I'm Cheroti Sudi. Okay. I'm Cheroti Sudi. I really wish the 3 hours yenye watu wametembea in town isiende west. That's all I want.
Zakayo shuka. Today we are coming in solidarity.
Majina yako kwanza?
Oh, mimi naitwa Vincent and I'm here today with the solidarity.
Wewe mkulima?
Kiplimo. Yeah. So I'm here today because of the solidarity that we are coming as youth, so that we can tell this government that we are there and we will be there. We know our rights, and our rights under Article 37 is we must come out and protest. If you are not going to reject the finance bill, then we'll be there until that time when Zakayo atashuka kwa mti. Si ndio? So the thing is Zakayo down. Zakayo shuka. Zakayo shuka. Thank you.
Benedict na Onyango. Yes. Sasa mimi nataka kuongelea kuhusu politicians wanacheza na akili zetu, thinking that Kenyans are so stupid. Now they went to State House. Walienda State House wakatoa 10 things, si ndio? Kwa hiyo vitu 10, ukisoma hiyo finance bill ni 136 pages. Out of 136 pages, kama umesoma hiyo bill vizuri, the devil is in the details. Kwa sababu wametoa vitu zingine. Kuna kitu kama ati mtu ako 25 years una contribute to social health hiyo shift, si ndio? Uko 25 years unaishi kwa mzazi wako, hauna kazi, unataka kwenda wapi? Wana thin hizo pay slips zao za wazazi until hazina kitu. Na mimi nataka kuongelea one thing. Unye tunataka kujoin university. Fees, I'm speaking for everybody. Fees haisemezeki. Fees natoka kutoka 26,000 hadi 189,000. Hatuwezi kubali. Serikali tumechoka and Gen Z wameingia. It's time for new leadership. Na mimi nataka kuadvise watu, by the way, tusiko tunatembea hapa kwa barabara, Ruto must go, sijui nini. Please register next 2027. Unaamka saa 10 unapanga line. Tumechoka hii maneno ya ati siasa ni ya wazee nini. Siasa ni ya kila mtu. Saa hii mimi nashukuru Mungu kwa sababu mimi nasema hii ni kazi ya Mungu, kwa sababu Mungu ametufungua macho, kila mtu amefunguka macho. Saa hizi mnaona serikali ni nini. Saa hizi hakuna siasa ati tunaachia wazee, ati gazeti tunaachia wazee. Saa hizi siasa ni ya kila mtu. Sawa.
Mimi Alan Kiprotich Sirtoi. I'm a farmer. Look here, from a farm gate, our products are reduced by tax. Taxpayers are paying a lot of money from the gates, not for industry. Ukitoka shamba hivi, unalima mahindi huko. Hata before Wakenya wote sio
We can go, eh? So by the name, I go by Ouma Fabish, a resident of Uasin Gishu, Eldoret Town, Langas Ward. Our message to the president is very clear. We are not going to accept any edited finance bill. You cannot bring us a finance bill with a contagious mind that, you know, Kenyans will reject bread, Kenyans will reject diapers and pampers. And then in that finance bill, you hide Mamboya lands, you also hide Mamboya railway, you also hide Mamboya fuel levy. Kenyans are not mad. Kenyans are not stupid. They know what they want. To our elected leaders, you can do whatever you want in that parliament building. You can do any motion, any bill, any act. But when the time comes, we, the Generation Z, as has known, it has come our time. We will send you back to your places, your matrimonial places, we mean. Without any compromise, without any negotiation. If you don't want to bring developments to the Kenyans that elected you. Currently, the government has closed, there is no job vacancy for the next 1 year. How are you going to accommodate the students that are graduating from the tertiary university and the colleges? So in short, in here in Uasin Gishu, we stand firm. We are sending a message to all the Kenyans and all our youths. As YK27 team Uasin Gishu chapter, we are saying we are rejecting the financial bill 2024 in totality.
Not amend. Yes, this question goes directly to Kuria, the MP for Molo. I think he's the chairperson of the budget committee there.
All right, those are some of the views of people from the county of Uasin Gishu in Eldoret specifically. What you can see here are scenes from Nairobi CBD. This, if I'm not mistaken, should be Wabera Street, where we have the protesters had sort of lined up and were, you know, speaking to the police, and the police have gotten to a point now where they've begun to shoot tear gas canisters towards the protesters. Some of them were being thrown, we'd seen earlier, and so we could see people who are masked up, and we're really hoping that we don't have injuries. There has been a criticism that, you know, the police are using force that's not commensurate to what is being, you know, put forward by the protesters. You could see it looks like a cloud. It reminds me of some movies with Sue and Wayanga where there was a heaven scene, but this is anything but heavenly to some. And you could see the kind of reinforcement that's there, just making sure that these protesters do not find their way to Parliament. So for the benefit of those who may not really understand the geography of Nairobi CBD, this roundabout is right next to the Supreme Court. And the shot on air now, if you're facing the screen to your left, is the road that leads to another roundabout, after which you turn left and you'll be on Parliament Road. So they're trying to just keep them as far out as possible to ensure they don't achieve their goal of going to Parliament, as they said, occupy Parliament. And this afternoon, the members of the National Assembly are actually voting for the inclusion of amendments into the bill. The amendments that were there, and some of them had their own proposed amendments, which they are then going to be voting to get into the final bill ahead of the continuation of the process. And so we keep monitoring here as we see these young people who are exposes them to an even more difficult economic situation. And even just to get a sense of what exactly is on the ground as we still monitor it, we have in studio two young people. They'll confirm whether they are young to us or not. Two young people who have been in the demonstration, in the street demonstrating, and they're now joining us in studio. We have Masaki as well as Rukia. And so welcome to our studios first and foremost.
Thank you so much.
So we've got this whole conversation around Gen Z. So let's begin. Are you guys Gen Z?
No. We are millennials.
So how old are you, Masaki?
I'm 31 years old.
31?
Yes.
I'm 33 years old.
33 years old. So you guys, so for you it's not a Gen Z issue?
No, it's not a Gen Z issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So maybe just tell us, Masaki, from when your day started in regards to the Mandamano, when did you come in? What has your roots been like? Then we'll do the same with Rukia.
All right, so Dan, thank you so much for having me here, as well as my friend. Now, today in the morning, I woke up at around 5 a.m. in the morning, and I was already in town by around 5:30. What I wanted to do is just to ensure that there's safety for my car and do a few things before the day begins, okay? So during that time when I was driving to town, there was a bit of tension because I met police vehicles almost coming from every side. And as I was approaching actually the CBD from Ojijo Road, I actually met the men and women in uniform, even from all the way from Westlands, because I had to take that route to town. So when I got to town, what I did is, of course, the millennials and the Gen Zs, how we've been coordinating is through WhatsApp groups, TikTok, Twitter, and so on. I'm even so proud that on KOT, we are trending with almost 1.3 million posts right now on Reject the Finance Bill 2024. So thereafter, I just went to, I'm still a student, guys, just to put some more clarity about it. So I had to go to the university, to the library. I did my thing just for 2 hours. Then I came to town. So when I was heading to town, that was around 8:30. I already found everybody, the moods, what is expected. What I mean is the policemen were already there, and the demonstrators were also there. What I did is just tried to look for the members in my group, because we've created more than 15 WhatsApp groups. They actually have more than 1,000. I think the limit is 1,000 for WhatsApp at the moment. I don't know whether it was increased, but I saw getting to around 800 will not even admit more. So and these groups actually are not only for Nairobi.
Okay.
They are every county. So we wanted to get information on every county, who has woken up, who is where, what is, who is representing this group and so on. But also during that morning hours, what we did is just to get the document, the finance bill itself. So what we did is just to share to every group, because we don't want to look like we haven't read that bill. We have read it. We just feel that whether the amendments or whatever it is, we actually don't feel that they represent us. Okay? So what happened when I got to town is that I noted that we were not wanted here. We were not wanted. Actually, I started from Kenyatta Avenue, because I walked all the way from Valley Road down here, and when I got to around I&M, things were not looking good. Tear gas everywhere, policemen just chasing us. If you
Tear
have
gas in the morning?
Yes. Yeah. It was early in the morning. Okay. I got 8:30 to 9. They had actually started from, is that Wabera Street, around I&M. They had actually started, but it was not as bad as it is right now, because then what they were doing is, when they find more than 10 people, then they have to drop something, or rather they have to just drive so fast to just ensure that they have gotten away through, and they were just scaring us in the morning. But then things got hotter when it got to around 11, because then what we want is just to march to Parliament. Okay. And of course, they just closed all the ways to Parliament, and what we did is just say around these buildings, around the buildings. This is Mangina, Kenyatta Avenue, and this is just a revolution.
Okay, so let's hear from Rukia. What has been your experience today?
Wow, I feel energized. I feel so proud of both millennials and Gen Zs, because when you go out there, we are all young people, and no one has funded us. No one, there's no politician behind whatever we are trying to pass across. And I think it's time. It's the way that now the youth is speaking for them to be heard, and it seems like the only way for us to be heard is through demonstrating and through calling out. I don't want to use bad words, but through calling out these people in a way that maybe they would listen to us and do what is right. Because when you look at things right now, out there people are jobless. This is something to show this government and everyone out there, like, yes, Kenya has a lot of youth, but now when you say that you want to take more out of us as people, as citizens of Kenya, but you're not creating employment for us, what do you expect us to do? We'll go out there and we'll protest and we'll keep saying this thing. We are rejecting this thing until they hear us. He has to, like whoever, the government has to listen to the cry of the youths now. Because for the longest, we sat back and let our parents, let everyone, the other generation to lead us. But they've always led us into a way that we thought that maybe there's something, but we gave them the chance, they didn't do us. So the time is now, and the time is youth's time right now.
So Masaki had mentioned that he's a student. What, yourself?
I'm employed, but I won't mention who my employer is.
Fine. Are you on leave?
No, I'm not on leave. What happened actually today morning, I just finished what I needed to do. In fact, we are just from Java for me to continue clearing my emails and whatnot. And I've met so many people that I work with. And I'm here because it's me. I'm not here because, you know, I'm representing a certain company, so on and so forth. But I'm here to fight for the generation to come, and I'm here for my cry to be listened to, because I'm employed, yes. But when I look at my salary, when I look at my pay slip, I'm so angered as a person, and now as a woman as well.
Okay, sorry, let me just hold you on that for a bit. I see the Speaker of the National Assembly is speaking, and I'm told he's even addressing some of the things about the Mandamano. Let's listen in to Parliament.
Here, that we are here to protect their interests, not physically, but intellectually. We must be conscious of the fact that we are the conscience of this country. And being the conscience of the country, our conduct must constantly have in mind the fact that whatever we do here can have negative or positive consequences on the public out there. So we are going Order Wanjala. Order Wanjala. Having said that, I want to encourage members that there are still several members who want to speak to this bill. I promise that I'll give you 1 hour this afternoon. There is a small ruling I'll deliver on the issue that was raised by the minority leader. I'm waiting for it. I had just made some corrections. When it comes, I'll stay the proceedings and give that ruling in just 3, 4, 5 minutes. So we'll go on for 1 hour. After 1 hour, we will call the mover to reply, as we had agreed. Order. We'll call the mover to reply. Upon replying, we'll go to the vote. If the equipment in front of you is working, we'll do an electronic vote. Order. Honorable Robert Mbui. You are normally more orderly than you want to be today. If the equipment doesn't work, I have no difficulty. I'll sit here and allow you to vote in the manner that you want. The end order Wanjala, whatever means of voting you would have, the end will justify the means. Yes, Junet.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for your guidance. That was researched guidance. But Mr. Speaker, it is of the view of the minority that on this matter of the finance bill, Mr. Speaker, we do voting manually or orally.
We'll keep an eye on Parliament as the discussions are ongoing, and what you're seeing once again is Wabera Street in Nairobi City County, the Central Business District. The tear gas has stopped being lobbed and the protesters were singing the national anthem. Let's listen to what they're saying as they face off with the police. sounds from Nairobi CBD as we also monitor the other parts of the country, and you can see the young people pretty much insisting that they do not want to be violent and they just want to have their voices heard. And before we cross over to Parliament, sorry I interrupted you, Rukia, and you actually get into a point that I think is important. Ordinarily, we've covered protests before, and usually you'll find not as many ladies who either will participate or be as vocal, but we're seeing a difference in this. For you as a woman, hauogopi?
We have women representatives in that parliament, but what have they done? They've let us down a big time. Even when we are having the femicide issues, they never said a word. Even right now, this finance bill that is taxing, it wants to increase more taxes on pads, on diapers, something that affects women directly. Only 3% of those things are manufactured locally. All of the others, they are imported. So it's a huge deal for me as a woman to stand up and for me to be vocal for the rest of the generation to come and for the generation that is here now, because we've elected people, we had so much hope in them, but what do? They let us down by being silent. They are not for us, they are for their own selfish gain and for their own greed.
So Masaki,
Yes,
the same question, pretty much not as a woman, but in terms of kuogopa, we've seen in the past where somebody who will become overly vocal against government may end up being victimized in some way.
Yes.
Hauogopi, and just for context, on the other side of the screen on the right, we have Eldred. We could see running battles there. We have tear gas. We could see there's a guy who's there kicking it back.
Yes.
What some call return to sender. Masaki,
I actually returned one to the sender.
Oh, really?
Yes. So
how did you
what
kick it?
maybe? Yeah, it just came and then nikaona imepoa kidogo, then I just kicked it back. So it's normal. I mean, ni chombo ambacho kimetumika kufanya machozi itoke, so siogopi kwa mwili yangu. Kama itaniangukia ni sawa, but of course you need to be very safe. Now mimi siogopi, number one. Number two ni kusema kwamba I think from the chats that we've been having, just try to, even from, by the way, some of the WhatsApp groups, we just opened them yesterday at night. It's not like we've been planning this thing. Everybody actually in the group is a stranger. Other people, I do not even know them, but everybody has that synergy. And you know, the motivation of telling us, please, where do we meet, where do we go, actually makes me fearless. I've actually gotten even into where the tank, the police tank was. I didn't even fear it. Why? It's just water. Wash me, I'll go and dry up and go back to protesting peacefully. Because either way, as you can see, every demonstrator and even an activist or anybody who's on the road does not have anything that can harm. I mean, look at what I'm having here. It's just to block the whatever they're going to throw to me, and then of course I can throw it back. But anyway, I'm just saying how safe I want to be. But what I'm saying is this is one of the revolution I've never seen. I've only been seeing this in a movie. By the way, Dan, you just mentioned it. We only watch this on Netflix, on Showmax, and so. But today I'm on the road actually demonstrating. I really don't know whether my parents can be happy about this, but I think.
Yeah, have you spoken to your parents?
Not really. Augmented reality, big data. But we are really struggling. But why would you even start telling us that we are going to the digital? We actually pay tax. Dan, you actually need to know that we pay tax. All the companies that we have, which are startups, we are registered and we are paying tax. The only thing we want to hear is accountability. Where is that money going? Yeah. So when you collect all this money, where are you taking it? You cannot just go and start renovating a 680 million house. I don't know where it is. When it was actually 400 million used to build it. Get that money and give it to us. Let us go to innovation, creativity, and let us support art. So why we are fearless is because we feel like if we don't talk, because I think the power of actually everybody is within their hands. So if you can't just come and lipuka hapa town uongee, then hakuna mtu wenye atakusikiza. We have actually had this representation from parliament, but I think these guys are not even intellectuals. I'm sorry I heard them say that they are intellectuals in parliament, they're going to discuss things in a sober way. We are actually the intellectuals on the road, on the streets and demonstrating, because we know exactly what we are doing will really help our future.
And just to add,
yes.
In terms of being fearless, yesterday we saw even Millie Odhiambo saying, you have to be a bad girl, because nice girls don't take the corner office. And we can't keep sitting down and waiting for these people. It's our time, and the time is now. For even the ladies and buddies and whoever, we have been called so many names, for us to get out here and for us to have our voice being heard. And that's why I'm seated here today. I'm not even scared, oh, I might lose my job tomorrow, or oh, my boss can see this, so on and so forth. But I just want my voice to be heard and for my concerns to be considered. But these people seem that it's like it's falling on deaf ears. They are not hearing us, but the time is now. The youth is woke, and we're going to stay woke.
Do you feel in a way that because of the boldness that you guys have and just that unashamed fearlessness, that in a way you're silently putting your bosses in a corner? Or that, you know, there are people who are saying if I end up, you are not at work or whatever, and I send you a memo, the next thing I'll see a screenshot and a thread or a video that is putting me on blast?
Not really. I think there are some companies which are modern progressive. They're not like how they used to be, and I'm glad to be in one of them, whereby I think my bosses and the company at large, they embrace such things. Because even on Tuesday demonstration, some of my bosses were there.
Okay.
So there are some companies, it's time where we are, the times have changed actually. Some companies are modern progressive, and they are allowing their employees to just go out and, you know, get your voice heard. You have a right as a Kenyan citizen.
As long as you don't do anything illegal.
Yeah, so the victimization, it comes with people maybe who have other problems, but I think these companies now, we are modern progressing. We are modern. It's not the Kenya that we used to have.
Dan, we don't fear victimized. Actually, I think we are actually more advocating for us to be more job creators rather than even being job seekers, because then you have the freedom to do anything, anytime of the day, whether at night. I mean, for us, digital strategists or even digital enthusiasts, we can even do our work at night. We don't actually need to be reporting to somebody. So what we are saying is, even all these people that you're seeing on the street, they have no job. So what are they fearing? They don't fear anything because they've never stepped into somebody's office. You just finish your degree. What you are told is you're waiting for internship, and then internship they're paying you less than even 20,000. So why do you actually need that money? But the more things that intrigue me into this kind of demonstration is how every generation has organized themselves. We've been actually really talking more about the Gen Z, but let me tell you, millennials are out there. Even the 10 groups we opened at night for WhatsApp, which have around 800 members inside. There are actually a few Gen Z who are inside there. Everybody's saying, guys, where are you? What time can we meet? And where are we going to meet? So even the millennials are not fearing. I know even the boomers and the others are just laughing wherever they are sitting. It's like, these guys are going to take our jobs. Yeah. We don't want your jobs. What we need is to become job creators. We are not going to be job seekers anymore.
We've even seen parents encouraging their young people. The parent who saw their child on TV demonstrating, some of them are like, I'm so proud of you. Yeah. Like, keep doing whatever you're doing.
So as long as everything is peaceful, we are fine.
So something that the Speaker of the National Assembly said is that he was telling the members of the National Assembly, just now when we're listening, that they are, you talk about intellectuals, but also say they're the conscience of the country. Rukia.
Intellectuals on the road.
What about the conscience?
Look at him. He's doing his PhD. Yes. Like, what are you trying to tell us?
So he's saying that they're also the conscience of the country. Do you feel that the people who are in the National Assembly, the MPs, are actually, do you feel that they carry the things that matter to you at heart?
No,
because that's where the conscience.
No, they don't. No, they don't. They've sold that out. They've sold us out. That's why some of them, they can't stand and say no. They're scared.
Have any of them tried to join the protests?
I've actually seen only 2 right here outside your building, but I don't know who that was. I don't think he's even a sitting member of parliament or something. All of them are wearing those nice suits from Turkey, which they're saying they're going to start manufacturing here. I even wonder, why can even some of them wear our skins and go to parliament and tell us, anyway, we are going to start funding manufacturers over here. So the thing is, for me, I think these guys are very shameful. I am actually embarrassed to have even gone to vote. Because then what I think is, if they can go and start perusing those booklets and tell us, oh, we're just trying to discuss about this bill and we're discussing. And what are you discussing?
What are you discussing?
What are you discussing? Exactly. You come, actually, they should have come to discuss with us. I'm actually very embarrassed to hear those guys are seated in parliament with their suits and drinking water there when we are here smoking tear gas. We haven't actually seen anybody come and even give us a bottle of water and at least...
Aren't you the ones telling them to reject it? So maybe they're there to reject it.
But they should have come in solidarity with us in the morning. They were not required to be in parliament by 8 a.m. in the morning. I was here by 5 a.m. in the morning. I went and did my things.
But they were there from 9. I mean,
that's fantastic. I really agree that, of course, they were
have there. You see, if they're with you on the streets the whole day, they will not do what you're asking. If they are to do it, that is right.
I agree with you.
So my other question is, we have a number of young guys. See the number of times we've seen, oh, there's a young person who's been elected into parliament or a nominated senator or member of parliament or MCA, and they, some of them actually say, I'm a nominated member of parliament representing the youth.
Yes.
Do you feel that you're represented by these young MPs?
No.
I've never seen any kind of person who has the guts to stand and say whatever that we always discuss here. I hear there are those Kamukunji meetings with the public and so on, but I think they just come for appearance, and then they go there, they get their sitting allowances, and they go home.
And they go home.
They're actually affiliated with whichever party that elected them, but they're not affiliated with us citizens who voted for them. Because every time they go there, they either have to be called in whichever house they are called, or they have to be called in whichever office. And I was actually ashamed to hear one of them saying, our party said us to vote either no or yes. Why would you say your party told you to vote yes or no? It is your own conscience. Don't you understand how we are frustrated here? Being jobless, you cannot pay even you can actually not, even that bread they are talking about. We can't even afford it. Actually, me, I'm very lucky that I can get my toke and washes from my shags, and actually they can support me. But what about those guys who are coming from the drought-prone areas who cannot actually eat whatever they're saying? We cannot even afford that slice of bread. We cannot actually even pay the bills, even for internet that they're talking about. We cannot even actually pay fare to town to go and do our hustle. So those guys, I think, do not even understand what we're going through. Probably because they have their own V8s and guzzlers, and they just have their security behind there. They just go home and wave. Those times of waving are gone.
Rukia, in terms of the young politicians, and I'll even be a bit more specific because you're quite passionate about the gender dynamic of this, right?
Yes.
The young women politicians, do you feel, I mean, you partly mentioned, but do you feel that they are really representing your interests? No. And what do you think they should do different?
They should, what I think they should do different is, we've sent them there for a reason. And for the longest, as a woman, women have always been considered to be the weak link. But now is the time, or rather, we've sent them there to make our voices be heard. And when you look at a woman representative making some comments about, you know, I don't use pads, I use tampon, it leaves a bad taste to every woman's mouth, because you can afford a tampon. There's a child seated somewhere in another part of the country who cannot even afford that pad that you want to increase taxes for. So I don't feel like that we are well represented. People are there because of their own agenda. And I feel like for once, and this is what we've been calling for once, they should just come together, or rather they should just listen to us and push an agenda whereby as women, we can unite and we can fight for one cause, whereby we are asking this government, please listen to us. Don't increase taxes on those pads. Don't increase taxes on those diapers, so on and so forth. For the longest, people would never used to afford diapers. But with what we've seen coming in from outside, people have been able to afford diapers. Yes. Some of us have been brought up with nappies.
So
on and so forth. Now, if you say that you want to increase whatever, you want people to go back into those old days.
But they actually, you know, on the day that the first Occupy Parliament protests were happening, there was a press conference from State House where they said that they're going to, some of the things that people had complained about, some of the proposals were scrapped, for instance. Don't you feel that kind of served to give you a bit more confidence that, okay, they're listening to you?
No, there's nothing that was done. Only, that's what I'm saying. For the diapers and pads and sanitary towels, only 3% are manufactured here. The rest, I've worked for P&G. They import all their stuff, like always and so on and so forth. So it means that even if you're saying, yes, you've scrapped off ABCD, and still for imports, you've put more money on that. We've seen youth educating each other, how you can bring things through Alibaba for you to sell. You're trying to cut off all their means on how they're going to. How many manufacturing local companies do we have that can support people locally? Very few. But now when you say, oh, okay, we want to support the local industries, but now for imports, we're increasing more taxes. You're forgetting that through digital, people have been teaching. Actually, if you go to TikTok, we have people, oh, this is how you can import things, so on and so forth. People have been importing a lot of things, and you come and sell in small quantities, and you get your profit back. So it makes it even harder to like, at least ensure that, so whatever they say that we are amending ABCD, it was just for a show. We want the whole thing out.
So my question is, and Masaki, you said that like you guys shared the finance bill, etc. Are you then saying that there is nothing good in it? Or is it that there are some, because even when they are voting, they'll vote, my Swahili colleagues is going kila kipengele.
Kila kipengele.
Yes. So is it that there is nothing good?
Dan,
if you're very honest, I mean, if it's about
Dan,
being honest.
Dan, let me just be honest. Of course, the pressure we've given them has really made everybody just bow and say, hey, let's go back and do amendments. They've done a number of amendments, and we know they've dropped, I think, the Data Protection Act exemption. They've, I think, dropped excise duty on mobile money and internet services. They have, I think, dropped the excise duty on edible oils and so on. But Dan, how can you go ahead and implement, because I think there is kuna kipengele moja ambacho kinazungumzia early implementation of tax measures. They are saying that they actually want this to take effect immediately on 1st August. Surely, I can't even survive on even the budget that was passed in the previous year. Right now you're saying hata wanataka kusongeza from wanasongeza kutoka mwezi wa September hadi August tarehe moja. How sure are you that we are going to survive with the little we are earning? I mean, I just said I'm a student. That means I'm not earning. Even if I have a company that is trying to, is a startup, I can't even manage. And Dan, what we are saying, yes, they've had our voice. But having had our voice, we do not need any amendment done right now. Let's go back to the table. I mean, even if they use our taxpayers' money to go and repackage that finance bill, we are very okay. Let them go and take one full month, make amendments. I am not very conversant with those law terms or 60, 90 days. No. Let them go back. Let that committee go and sit down. Let them actually listen to kila kipengele kiangaliwe. Si ati kusema ati leo tumetoa hii, tumetoa nini. No. That is just PR, and we're used to this PR. All of them are politicians. And actually, as much as you will say that, just as much as you will say that, yes, they've done amendments, but there are more things that we feel zitatufinyilia. Na kama watatoa kipengele kimoja, wanakisogeza kwa kile kingine tena. Sasa kumaanisha wanaweka uzito kwa another section which
sorry, let me stop you there. Here the speaker is making communication on the finance bill. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Leader, the advisory is not an unusual document. Members will note that every year, before the conclusion of the budget process, the Office of the Clerk seeks the views of the Cabinet Secretary responsible for finance on the options available to the House and its committees to ensure a balance between the measures of supply and ways and means under consideration by the House. This is in keeping with the requirements of Article 114 of the Constitution on the consideration of money bills. The advice enables the House to ensure that the measures of supply and ways and means that it approves in the appropriation bill and the finance bill adhere to applicable constitutional and statutory limits. Honourable members, as you are aware, under Section 39A(4)(c) of the Public Finance Management Act, Cap 412A, any recommendations made or resolution passed by this House on revenue matters must take into account the impact of the proposed changes on the composition of the tax revenue that the National Treasury is expected to raise. Additionally, honourable members, under Section 45C of the Public Finance Management Act, the House is under an obligation to ensure that the total amount of revenue raised is consistent with the fiscal framework that it approved during the budget process. During its consideration of budget proposals, the House must strike a balance between the supply of monies that it appropriates for the national government and the ways and means of financing such expenditure. As ably expressed by the leader of the majority party and the chairperson of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, any negative imbalance between the ways and means and the supply approved by the House ultimately results in a fiscal deficit. This deficit can only be addressed through borrowing, enhanced taxation, or reduction of the estimates of expenditure. Honourable members, if you listen to the contributions of the Honourable T.J. Kajwang yesterday, These are the exact words he used in his contribution. And he was very right in law and under the Constitution. As members will recall, any borrowing sanctioned by the House must strictly adhere to the threshold prescribed by this House in line with Section 50 of the Public Finance Management Act and the principles outlined under Article 211 of the Constitution that cautions against overburdening future generations with unnecessary bad debt. Honorable members, all things considered, my reading of the advisory from the Cabinet Secretary is that it constitutes a reminder to the House of its constitutional and statutory obligations. I do not view it as a directive in the manner argued by the minority leader. In the letter, the Cabinet Secretary reminds the House of the recent increase made to the estimates of expenditure when the House considers supply measures. The House is merely being asked to factor in this increased expenditure when considering the ways and means of financing the approved supply. In its decision-making, the House is only bound by the Constitution and the law. The ultimate decision lies with this House. I therefore find nothing untoward with advisory. Its contents may be used for the information of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, the Finance and National Planning Committee, and House in plenary and during the Committee of the Whole while considering both the Appropriations Bill and the Finance Bill. The House is accordingly guided. I thank you. On what the Honorable Tienda Molo has raised, entry and access to the galleries is not a right of anybody. It is to the discretion of not just Mr. Speaker, but the Sergeant at Arms and his team. And their advice this afternoon was that they desired to keep the galleries unoccupied. And if you recall, with a light touch, the Honorable Senator Mudamasi, then he was, left the gallery half naked. And the Honorable Bone Khalwale left the gallery at a speed that would have broken a world record. We don't want to repeat that. Honorable members, now we go back to the bill. Robert Basil. But as I call Robert Basil, honorable members, I have been requested by the majority and minority leaders that we reduce the time further from 3 minutes to 1.5 minutes. Robert Basil.
Thank you, Speaker.